It is the Sports Lounge 225. Charlie Hildebrand, Travis Krins here, Nathan Stacken. Coming down the chute. Plenty of stuff going on. A very newsworthy week here in the middle of July. Got Kyrie Irving wants to be traded. O.J. Simpson got paroled. Got baseball trades. And you got the Twins trying to screw up a bases loaded, no-out situation. But first, we start with the golf. British Open wrapped up earlier today. One of my favorite things about the British Open, Charlie, see if you agree, is that about 1 o'clock it's done. You can wake up in the morning, it's on, the leaders are out there, and you can watch it for however long you want. And by about noon, 1 o'clock, we're done. That's a thumbs up for me, I'd say.
I agree. I like that. It's nice that some of them, when they don't go till like 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and you're on, but I wish we could have been done a couple hours ago at the same time.
Jordan Spieth.
The benefits of the time difference working positively for us Americans.
For change. Jordan Spieth had a little bit of a hiccup, but ended up winning 12 under. Only guy double digits under par. Shot a 69. Also shot a 69 on round 2. 12 under. Yes, 12 under. He beats Matt Kuchar. Guys were tied at 8 under. Guys were tied at 9 under. And these two guys kind of broke away from the pack on Saturday. And nobody really got within 2 shots of them on Sunday. But Spieth looked like he was going to collapse again at the, let's see, it was the 13th hole. He bogeyed it. That's the famous hole where he shanked it way right, and it took, I don't know, literally 15, 20 minutes to find his ball and figure out what the hell he was going to do. First 4 holes, he was 3 bogeys through the first 4, and then he finished 14, 15, 16, and 17 at 5 under. So folks are saying it's the greatest finish by one golfer to a tournament, major tournament, 5 under through the final 5 holes. I assume that might be some sort of a record, but now he's got a British Open, a Masters, and I think a U.S. Open. He needs one of the other majors to complete it. So
PGA Championship is the other one.
He needs it. Does he get it in a few weeks? And Stacken joins us here. I think he had Rory for about 20 and Spieth for about 20. I got him for about 10 at 23 years old.
I think he does not win it in a couple of weeks, but there's a very high chance he wins it in the future. He's obviously quite young, so he's got a lot of time left to win it. I think he will get the career Grand Slam. I'm going to say he goes like 7 or 8 majors in his career, which would still easily put him in the top 10. I think that would put him like 6th all time, so which would still be fantastic. But I think, unfortunately, at times we get so caught up in Nicklaus winning. I think Nicklaus has 18 and Woods has 16, and that we just focus on those two. That like you can only win half as many as those guys, and you're still amongst the 10 best ever.
Matt Kuchar's never won a major, may never win, but he had a good showing. Not much you can do when the other guy goes 5 under par for the last 5 holes. So Kuchar, he did well. Guy from China, Haitong Li, shot the round of the 4th round, shot a 63. There were 63s all over the tournament. Brandon Gray shot a 62. We had mentioned in other majors, like 63 is the number. It's been done 31 times in majors. And now finally somebody shot lower than that. He shot a 62. And Rory McIlroy, who didn't have all that good of a week, ends up finishing tied for 4th. So he came back a little bit today. He shot a 67 today to finish tied for 4th. So how much of this did you see? Where do you rank the British Open as far as majors that you pay attention to?
I did not see a great deal of it this year. There have been other times I've watched it a lot more. I like the British Open. That goes back.
Oh, my heavens.
I think I would rank the majors in my interest level the same in the order chronologically they are.
Really?
That the further you go, the less the Masters is the most important for me, just because I think it's the most interesting and the best. The U.S. Open and the British Open are about even to me. And then by the time the PGA gets around, I mean, I think it's interesting, and I will generally watch the final round of fun, a good chunk of it. But by then, it's close to football season, and I'm just kind of on to other things. So I guess maybe I should say I would put the Masters 1. I would basically put the U.S. Open and the British Open more or less tied at 2, and then the PGA just a distant fourth. Not to knock that, but just because of the timing and because it's the last one. And that while golf is an interesting sport, one of the odd things is that arguably the most important major of the year, the Masters, is also the first one of the year.
We've made our own personalized stack and bingo card. So if he does join us here, 15 minutes in, coming in on 4:15, it's not bingo, it's stack, S-T-A-C-K. So we have 24 things here. That's my bingo card right there. And we will exit out if he says any of the things that we say we'll have different things. We had to come up with, 48 combined different things between us. So we'll see what the stack man has in store for us here.
As we get sort of kind of close to to fantasy football draft times, we had our own draft for things for bingo/stack.
For him to say. NBC, I think second straight year they've done the British Open. I just can't watch the U.S. Open on Fox. I just can't. So it's unfortunate, but wasn't too into the majors. This was the first one I watched pretty much the entire final pairing today, and I watched a little bit yesterday. I don't think I saw anything for the first 2 days. But this is the most that I've watched a major in quite some time, and entertaining, and it's something that kind of a historic deal, or at least a unique situation with the way Spieth started off so terribly, bogeying 3 the first 4, and he gave up the lead, I think, for 1 hole, then comes back with on the 14th hole after that disastrous 13th, which he was fortunate to only get a bogey. He comes back and nearly has a hole-in-one on the 14th, and he birdies the par 3, he eagles the par 5, and then birdie 16 and 17. So that's pretty impressive. He'll be 24 years old next week. I think Dustin Johnson's number 1 as the Twins score 1 run on a bases-loaded situation with no outs. They can't. Yeah, they're fucking terrible. Dustin, I think Dustin Johnson's still number 1. Spieth, he'll be number 1 at some point. He already has been. And you got McIlroy and all these other guys. I think McIlroy's the guy. He's the youngest. I think he's the best. I think he's going to be, 20 years from now, we'll look back and say he was the best of the bunch. Would you agree with that, or do you think somebody else is better?
That's a good question. I'm torn between Spieth and McIlroy because they're both really good, and I think we are. I mean, like a decade ago, people tried to make like the Tiger Woods and the Phil Mickelson rivalry, and I don't know how much, if at all, they really disliked each other. I mean, I get that they were 2 big-name guys that always competed against each other, but I feel like this could be something like that, but better, just because they're younger.
It can actually be close.
To do it more often, and then that the interesting thing that not that everybody gets nationalism with golf, but that I would imagine that more Americans would root for Spieth. People from the UK would be more likely to root for Rory McIlroy, and then the international game that golf is. That I think there are some interesting things that could happen. I like Rory better. I don't know if I think I'm torn between who's going to be better 10 years from now, though, or who will have had the better career 10 years from now between the two, though.
You assume Shane McMahon goes for Rory McIlroy?
I think that after Rory finally completes his career Grand Slam, he will take a year off from golf to train to be in a tag team match with Shane McMahon at WrestleMania.
Against
Jordan Spieth and whoever is the top face or heel at that point in time. I don't know who's going to be the good guy and who's going to be the bad guy.
Do you think they're going to be pretty close? You got them for 7 or 8 majors. You got McIlroy for about the same.
I think I'm going to preface this with this isn't fair to say this, but since McIlroy hasn't won a major in the last couple of years, and I said a couple of times he's struggled in majors, it's not fair to say that means he will continue to do that, and I realize that, but part of me just wonders if it's kind of like, he had the success, and now he's just enjoys fame more so than being good at golf. And I don't really think that, like I said, it's not fair to get into all of that, but I think it's more being prisoner of the moment, and that Spieth has won so much in the last 2.5 years or so that it just seems like his trajectory is pointed higher upwards than anybody else in golf right now.
Did win last week as well, so back-to-back wins for him. U.S. Open winner Brooks Koepka. He had a top 10 finish. He was tied with 5 other gentlemen for 6th place at 4 under par, so a good showing for Brooks Koepka. You look at the bottom of this list, 2 of these old bastards that keep on playing. You had Marco Mura, who was on the telecast as well. He missed the cut. I think this is the last time he's going to play the tournament. John Daly was out there, shot 74, 78, so that's not great for him. David Duval, for some reason, was out there. Phil Mickelson, he missed the cut. I asked before the show was even in the goddamn tournament, because you assume he would be, but Jesus. So maybe he's...
I did not know that David Duval was actually still alive, let alone still golfing. But good. I'm glad he's still golfing. That's good.
And I assume...
Man, he had that, like, in the early 2000s, that short period of time where, like, he was really good, and he was in, like, commercials and stuff, and then just, like, crickets after that.
I assume he won a British Open. That's why he's the only reason he's in it. Yeah, he did win in 2001. He was tied for second in the U.S. Open in 2009. In 2009, he was tied for second in the U.S. Open. My heavens.
I do not remember that.
He was also tied for in second place at the Masters in 98 and 2001. So that's a guy.
My strongest memory of him is that there was a commercial when he was still really good at golf. And they had multiple different ones with different guys. I think it was just like a PGA commercial. And then like the tagline was, "These guys are good." And it was that he was like setting up to drive, and he hit a driver, really hard. And then the camera turns, and it goes by a windmill. And like the windmill they made start turning, like, because he hit it so hard. And I thought, as a, middle schooler or high school kid, thought that was funny. So whenever I think of David Duval, I think, man, the guy who can power windmills with his golf balls.
Georgia Tech Hall of Famer, 2003. Also won the most money on tour in 1998. So good for him. 1 major in his belt. He won 13 tour events, 20 others, or 7 others for a total of 20 around the world. Could have had a couple more majors. Finished second 3 times. So, other news of the week. Very surprised. The Thursday afternoon comes across the wire. Sources say Kyrie Irving wants to be traded. This I couldn't believe. Apparently he wants to go somewhere and be the guy. Maybe this is a preemptive strike because I think, maybe others think, LeBron is leaving after the end of this year and he wants to get out of town before that instead of chasing a title one more time. Were you as shocked as I was?
I was pretty surprised. Clearly, LeBron must be the world is round guy, and that's what's set the rift between the two. And part of it is, I mean, like I sort of, from a really shrewd standpoint, I can kind of understand that if he is just convinced that LeBron's out of there after the next year, of saying, oh, well, I'm just going to leave now because why do I want to stick around there for one more year? But I don't know. Part of it is just that, I get that if LeBron goes somewhere else in the East, that they would then become the favorites. But Cleveland, if you take every team in the East and take LeBron off, Cleveland's still better than everybody else on paper, at least. So I don't know, and some of the places he wanted to go, like the Spurs, I don't think he'd be the focal point of. And that's not to knock Kyrie. I mean, he's a great basketball player, but I don't think he'd be the star for the Spurs. I don't know if he'd even be the star of the Timberwolves. I mean, he might be, but I mean, Towns and Wiggins are both plenty good also. As a newly on the bandwagon Timberwolves fan, I wish somehow he would end up there, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Apparently, reports here on a Sunday afternoon, this is news to me, say that he was upset that his name was included, apparently, in trade talks for Jim Butler and Paul George, which I didn't know that they were. I thought this was more of a Kevin Love would be the guy to move instead of Kyrie Irving in this situation. So I guess I didn't hear too much of Kyrie Irving getting traded. I mean, Klay Thompson's name has been mentioned the last couple of years, and he's staying put because he knows he's going to win another 2 or 3 championships. So Kyrie Irving has his one, and I would assume if he goes anywhere else besides the Spurs, he'll end his career with one. If he doesn't play with the Spurs or LeBron again, which is kind of the way things go. So, do you expect him to get traded? That's the next question.
That is a good question. I actually never thought about it this far, what will actually take place.
Will they say no?
I think they will not. They will do something to appease him for this year. And then it will just be, we'll see what happens with LeBron after the following offseason.
I don't think they trade him either. LeBron, the big rumor is the Lakers, but I've been firm on him staying in the East. You would assume the Lakers would be Alonzo Ball, LeBron, Paul George. Those would be your 3 guys there, and I don't see that being good enough to even reach the finals in the West. So that's...
What if LeBron just says, I want to play for the Spurs, and I will take significantly less money than normal to go play there and just try to be the Golden State version of Golden State just in Texas and San Antonio?
I think that would work. Houston looks like an absolute, I don't want to say a disaster, but they got a lot of guys. Spurs would be interesting.
Houston looks like Texas Tech, and not like when they're really good, like 6-6 Texas Tech, where you're like, yep, they're really good at throwing the football, and when they're on, they're on. But man, they give up 600 yards of offense to everybody, and they just can't do anything on defense.
And Carmelo Anthony is still out there, and if he is going to move, is he going to be going to Houston? Maybe Cleveland, and as we know, Cleveland doesn't have a GM. LeBron, he makes the move, so it doesn't really matter if they have a GM or not. Save the couple million you may spend on a GM and just give it to LeBron and say, you make whatever the hell decision you want to make. So Carmelo Anthony's out there. Kyrie Irving wants to be traded. He mentioned Minnesota, which was interesting. I just said that just can't work. They just don't have any. I don't know how that trade would work.
I feel like they'd have to give up either Wiggins or Towns.
And you want to keep all those guys.
Both of those guys, yeah.
Wiggins going back to Cleveland, who drafted him in the first place. So I think the Spurs are at the top of his list. That makes sense. The Knicks, that's stupid. The Bulls, was it the Bulls? No, it was the Heat. Miami, this fucking Miami thing. I assume just because of where they're located, Miami. I've never been to Miami. Have you been to Miami?
I have been to Miami.
I mean, is this a big deal or what?
It was, well, I was pretty young when it happened. It was actually for the Nebraska Orange Bowl against Miami that they ended up beating them to win their first title under Tom Osborne. I did not go to the game, but our whole family went down there. Mom and Dad went to the game. God, I think I was in like third grade at the time.
Didn't you mention this on Facebook this week? The first memory?
I think it was on Twitter, yeah, your first sports memory. And I don't know if it's my first memory of any sport, but it's my first college football memory. That when I fell asleep, Nebraska was down, I think 10-0. And because it was on January 1st, so I'm in like second or third grade, up till midnight or 12:30 on New Year's Eve the night before. So I was kind of tuckered out the next day. Fell asleep, they were down 10-0. Woke up the next morning, assumed they lost, and I remember looking at my dad and being like, what do I say to this guy who spent this money to go on vacation? They couldn't even win. And then my dad turned and looked at me and he's like, we're number one. And I was like, oh, so they won? And he's like, yep. I was like, oh, I didn't even know that because I fell asleep. Thought they lost.
Mr. Stacken, a nice sunburn. Mr. Stacken makes his way to the program here.
I'm not that sunburned today.
What's your shirt say?
Nike. I should wear Under Armour though.
Big baller brand?
No, I'm not getting. I'm not telling my team to forfeit any games at all. You see this over the weekend?
I saw this. Front page of the USA Today.
What an asshole.
What an asshole, isn't it? Was somebody with you in the hotel room? I can't imagine her parents would leave a 6-year-old in the Miami hotel room.
No, there was. I think the story was that they had somehow figured out a way to get like a babysitter in the hotel room, but the babysitter couldn't do it. So they were scrambling at the last minute, and they had somebody who worked for the hotel do it. And I don't know, it was some guy who was a Miami Hurricanes fan, and the whole time was like, haha, we're winning. And that's probably one of the reasons I wanted to fall asleep, because I was
Fuck you, guy.
sick of this dude. And then they ended up not winning.
Was there also a Mexican man in the bed?
My recollection is this gentleman was Asian and not Hispanic. I do not remember if I think he just sat in a chair the whole time. But we're talking about something from over 20 years ago.
Is the echo back?
It is. No. For me, at least.
Oh. Only the second echo.
Stacking, that means it's your computer. Fix it.
I'll get right on that here.
Mr. Stacken, we were talking NBA. Do you expect Mr. Irving to be moved? Very huge news, very surprising news from the association.
Yep.
I don't.
I gotta say, at this point, no. But I just don't even know what to think anymore.
Apparently, he's pissed. He's pissed that his name was apparently bantered about in trade rumors for Jim Butler and Paul George.
Oh.
Which I didn't realize, but I guess whatever.
The thing about this, I guess, that floors me the most is that the Minnesota Timberwolves are a destination for him to go to. I think that is one of the biggest surprises, and that a trade would involve, of all people, Jeff Teague, who just got here 15 minutes ago. So that surprises me the most. I can't tell you for sure, how what I think about this, because or what's going to happen if Kyrie stays, if he gets traded. Maybe they trade LeBron. LeBron hasn't given them any reassurances that he's staying. I think for the most part, we all think he's going to go to LA, to either the Lakers or the Clippers. And I don't even know who I would give the edge to there. So
Lakers.
Really? With who? With Lonzo Ball, I guess.
Paul George.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Reunite with Matthew Dellavedova.
Yes.
So, if you're the Cavs, how do you play this? Do you try and trade LeBron and get something back for him? Or
if you're Cleveland, I get that if you're Cleveland, you don't want him to leave. I don't know if you want him to be known for the next 50 years in Cleveland, though, as the guy who traded LeBron either. Even if LeBron wants to get traded.
even though
Like, I understand what you're saying, Stacken, and I'm not even saying you're wrong. But Cleveland, the Cavaliers have been so bad without him.
right.
Like, I don't know. If I was them, I would just be like, no, please, we will give you anything. You can have your own house next to the mayor of Cleveland if you want. What can we do to make sure you don't leave?
Well, right. I mean, but he has to give them some reassurances that he isn't going to leave. And to this point, he has not done that yet. And he probably won't even until after the season next year. I mean, if you're going to trade him to the Spurs, who are you going to get back? I mean, I know the Knicks have been talked about. That they could do a first-round pick in Carmelo Anthony because Kristaps Porzingis is apparently not.
The Knicks make the most sense. Of any team on his list, the Knicks seem like the likeliest to try because Minnesota doesn't have anything to trade. Miami.
Jeff Teague, I just told you they have Jeff Teague.
Yes, Jeff Teague and Gorgie Jane. Go Gorgie. The Knicks, I mean, Carmelo to Cleveland, that seems like the most reasonable thing. But I don't think he's being traded. I would love to see what a LeBron trade looks like a Herschel Walker type situation. I would love for
a 17-team NBA trade.
Yes. I would love for Dan Gilbert to say, fuck you, LeBron, you left. I'm going to fuck you in the end. I'm going to get the last laugh. I got my title. I'm shipping you off to Seattle. And they don't even have a team anymore. So I'd love to see that. But in the end, I'm just going to, I can already imagine being sick and tired of Cleveland having a season like they did this year where I'm not going to say they didn't give a shit, but they only won they didn't win 50 games in the East, which is an embarrassment. And they don't need to because it's all about getting your ass kicked to Golden State in June again anyway. So I can just imagine the confrontation and the Shaq, Kobe-like soap opera all year long between LeBron and Kyrie Irving.
But is a trade to the Knicks the most sense? Like, yes, you would get Carmelo Anthony.
Like, it's the only team that has anything to trade. I think it's the most realistic because the Minnesota doesn't have anything. What the fuck does Miami have? The Spurs, how would that work?
Whiteside.
Yeah, like the Knicks have the biggest piece in Carmelo Anthony and are the worst team of that bunch and have the best possible draft picks available. Yep. I think the Knicks have the best. You would get the most from the Knicks. And whatever, if there's a third team involved.
What I'm saying, though, is are you just getting a first-round pick and Carmelo Anthony for Kyrie Irving? Because I still think that's a loss for
you need more than that. You need more than that.
At least 2 first-round picks, if not more.
If the Knicks would also take a bad contract that Cleveland has, because Cleveland can't make any moves because they're capped out. So if they would take a contract, that would also help. So
I like your idea, Crins, of Gilbert playing the long game and sticking it to LeBron just because it'd be funny. I will present you a scenario, and you tell me A, how good it is, and B, if you can top it on the revenge scenario list scale.
Okay.
He trades him to the Sacramento Kings for all of the Kings draft picks for the next 4 years, so they have no draft assets to trade at all to try to get better. So he's just stuck at Sacramento.
Initially,
how about one aging guy for another aging guy? How about they trade LeBron to the Kings for Zach Randolph and Vince Carter?
Could be. Title chasers. I'd love to see him on the Kings to see how good the Kings would be.
That would also be funny too because that'd be the closest he would get to Golden State, and he'd be like, "Fuck you guys, you keep beating us."
That's right. I would like the draft picks wouldn't be good because the Kings would be good with him, and it might only be a 1-year thing where they'd be really good next year, and then he wouldn't stay. So that's interesting. That's interesting. If you were the Kings, would you do that move? Go all in for 1 year. Say, I think you can only trade up to 3 or 4 years of draft picks. Say, here's all of them. Give us your guy. That'd be interesting.
Do you think if Kyrie went to the Spurs though that they could overtake the Warriors with Kyrie and Kawhi Leonard.
I think it'd be very close.
And plus, who else did they get now in free agency that I'm trying to blank on?
Spurs?
The Spurs. Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay.
Rudy Gay.
Not that he's much anymore, but
That's a good signing.
Wait, where'd Chris Paul go?
Houston.
The Rockets.
Okay, that's right. Sorry, got my Texas teams mixed up.
And nobody
They're 17, so it's understandable.
wants to go to the East. So that's your deal right there. We mentioned the British Open stacking. Jordan Spieth almost lost this one. Almost did.
Almost shit the bed.
But then came back with 5 under over the last 4 or 5 holes. Very impressive. We were saying, you with your 20 major bullshit. How many for the kid? He's got 3 of the 4. He's got 3 total. He's got a British. He's got a U.S. Open. He's got a Masters. He needs the shitty PGA sometime. He'll get that sometime.
Yep.
And I think he's going to be the best of the bunch. 10, 20 years from now, he'll be number 1. Rory, I guess, would be number 2, and whoever else wants to be number 3. But because how young he is and what he's done already, I think Spieth is that next guy.
No, first off, though, cannot have any Thanksgiving escapades. No sex.
No?
After his dad dies or anything like that. No prostitutes, anything like that. He's got to stay healthy.
He's not married. It's not an issue.
Well, he's got a girlfriend or he's engaged. It's one of the two. So, but Tiger Woods also had something going for him, and then he went off on the deep end. But you're right. I mean, I can't recall seeing someone turn the switch on like that as he did after that errant tee shot on 13, and then just come roaring back, almost ace the next hole, the par 3, and then bury that 40-foot
eagle
putt for eagle. I mean, that on 15, that was insane. I don't recall anyone doing that outside of Tiger Woods. So to answer your question, I would say yes, he can do this. I will put all the pressure in the world on the kid and say he can break Jack Nicklaus's record, because there's not another golfer out there right now who, apart from Tiger in his heyday, has a shot to reach Nicklaus like Spieth can right now.
I've got him for 10. Charlie's got him for 7 or 8.
And this is where I mentioned 7 or 8 would put him among the
top 5.
The 7 or 8, 6th or 7th all time in majors won.
I should look here. Maybe I can pull it up. He easily right now could have doubled the number of majors in his career to this point, because how many times he had the terrible bed shitting in Augusta a couple years ago. I think he's done that almost twice. He was very close to winning the British Open back-to-back years as well. He was right up there. So I mean, you're talking about a guy who could.
We saw it again this morning, so that's not good. That is not a positive that this guy in the majors, 4th round, not good. So that's a negative for me.
It is. It absolutely is. But I think you saw him break through that by recovering from that tee shot on 13. It took a half hour to figure out all the rules. I still don't know if he made the right decision. I guess he did, because he only got a bogey on the hole. He must have taken a 4-iron or something, or 3 something, whatever. After that, take that unplayable. But
what made that unplayable? It was in the shit on a hill. What makes that more unplayable than any other ball in the shit?
That's a great question. I do not know. Because I was wondering the same thing.
You can hit the ball.
If it's an unplayable lie, wouldn't you be able to get a free drop or something like that?
He could have teed off again.
If he's taking an unplayable, it's a penalty stroke. I don't know. I really don't know what made it an unplayable lie, but it worked out for him. And then after that, a cold-blooded assassin came out, and I think you could just see it in Kuchar's face, because he said, "It doesn't matter what I'm doing right now. He's on," and I think that would go for the rest of the field. It's like, no matter what you do, Jordan Spieth, if he is on, you can't beat him. And I don't think we've been able to say that about anyone since Tiger Woods back in the day. And I'm not trying to be a prisoner of the moment when I say this, because you know how high I've been on this guy since actually Schottenkirk kind of introduced him to me. So, yeah, I guess that's all I got to say. I think he's going to do it. Between him and Rory, for sure, they're going to combine. They will beat Jack Nicklaus's major record. But I do think I will give Jordan a 22% chance to beat Jack Nicklaus's all-time major record.
22% chance. Looking at my list
Which might be
here.
how many majors he wins? 22.
Terrific. I've got him for 10. That's what I've got him for. Any other thoughts on the Open Championship? I like it on NBC. As you know,
Yes.
I can't watch anything on Fox, so that's unfortunate for the U.S. Open.
Yeah, they do a great job. Thursday through Sunday.
Does NBC do? NBC does everything well.
They do. Even if you don't like watching some, the soccer or
Everything well.
or the NASCAR, they do stuff very well. And even hockey, they for the most part, they do hockey well. But yeah, they absolutely did a stellar broadcast here. Mike Tirico's always good. Dan Hicks, very good. I do like that they were able to get Phil Mickelson's old caddy to join them now. I like that Flaherty jumped ship from CBS to NBC. I think that's a great addition for them. And Roger Maltby's one of the best golf analysts out there. Echoes back.
What are you talking about?
I guess it just arrived with me.
Okay.
But yeah.
Twins down. Yes.
Maybe?
What happened?
No, we're good.
All right.
Yeah, no, they just have an absolutely stellar team, and their broadcast is as good as it could possibly get.
Would you put NBC at the top of the sports list? They don't have basketball. They only have one football game. So other networks have more stuff. They have the Olympics.
That's a good question.
They have the Olympics, which of course I don't give a shit about. But I like everything that they do.
The stuff they have, they do well. I feel like
ABC.
ABC has the problem with ABC.
It's all ESPN.
Because of ESPN, they've got so many things that there's just times you're going to get someone, that's like on the D list that can't do it very well. I feel like CBS and NBC are better than the other two or any of the minor networks that do the best.
Like ESPN has made ABC irrelevant because the only thing on ABC is the NBA Finals. I mean, that's it. So ABC Sports is like just it's all ESPN stuff, which is unfortunate for ABC. But the two big topics, the golf and the Kyrie Irving trade. Do you have trivia, Mr. Hildebrand?
I do. Golf related.
Oh my heavens!
Also time related. I believe there are 5 golfers who have won the career Grand Slam. That's all 4 majors. And also, side note, I don't remember. We've maybe done this one or something like this one. Anyways, I'm not asking you to name the guys who have won the Grand Slam. I'm asking you to name one of the 13 golfers who have won all except one of the major tournaments. They've won 3 of the 4, but are missing 1. And if you want to, you can name what one they're missing for pride points. If you don't, I won't knock you for that. But there are 13 gentlemen.
No women on the list. No women.
Obviously, there's a women's Grand Slam. I do not know what the women's golf majors are, though. I would be lying if I said I did.
Nathan Stacken.
And obviously, all of these gentlemen have won, at minimum, at least 3 majors total in their career.
Who's going first?
You. Is a warm one saying Fargo?
What?
You go first.
Thank you. I will take Jordan Spieth.
That is correct. He has won 3, all of them except the PGA Championship.
Got to get that Wanamaker trophy.
Take Phil Mickelson. I believe he's finished runner-up in the U.S. Open 5 times.
You are correct with Phil Mickelson in the U.S. Open. I did not write down how many times he's finished second. I know it's multiple times.
Boy, I might go out after this one. I will take a stab in the dark, though, and say Gary Player.
Gary Player is not on the list because he has won all 4 of the majors.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
So Krins
With a win.
for the win.
Arnold Palmer, he won all of them.
Arnold Palmer did not win the PGA Championship ever. That's
Now-
correct.
And I don't think he's winning this year either. So there you go.
That's probably right. Do you want me to list some of the
No,
other
let's
ones,
keep
or-
going here. Keep going here.
Yes, a few more.
Another round. Round for the house. Let's go.
Rory McIlroy.
You are correct. Do you want to guess which one he has not won?
He has not won the Yeah, he's not won the Masters.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. I
Mm,
was just double checking, like, oh, okay, maybe. Charles Schwartzel's won the Masters.
Real quick
uh,
here, I should say there are 9 guys left, and I realize that 9's an odd number, not an even number. But I've heard of about half of the guys on this list. There are some that I don't know anything about at all.
how about Tom Watson?
Tom Watson is on the list. Never won the PGA Championship.
Wasn't
Can
good
I ask
enough.
how many people
Wasn't good enough.
Well, it appears the PGA Championship, that's the common link.
It's
here.
the newest one. The newest one.
That's true.
And there's some old guys.
Charlie, do you know just offhand how many guys are retired versus currently playing?
Looking at this list, I believe none of the ones remaining are currently playing anymore.
Okay, so let's try Bob Hogan.
Bob Hogan?
Or the Hogan.
Ben Hogan.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Ben Hogan is not on the list. I think Ben
Hogan.
Hogan also
Hogan.
won all 4.
Hogan.
One of the 5 that's won. I think the 5 that won all 4, if I remember right, are Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Gary Player, Ben Hogan, and Gene Sarazen. I think those are the 5 that won the career Grand Slam.
Bobby Jones.
Bobby Jones is not on the list, and this is some of the golfers. If you get old enough, it's tough because some of the majors weren't around.
Weren't even around
when
then.
they were golfing, so that might be part of the issue
That would be
with
the
him, is that maybe like 2 of them hadn't even been invented yet.
Seve Ballesteros.
He's not on the list. I think he won 2 of the 4.
Won the Nabisco Championship and the Waste Management Open, I believe. 281.
There is one name on the list who, for people in our generation, is maybe most famous for a cameo in a movie.
What's Lee Trevino?
That is correct. Lee Trevino never won the Masters.
Never gets talked about. Lee Trevino. Son of a gun.
And Grizzly Adams did have a beard, according to Lee Trevino in Happy Gilmore.
That's Vern Lundquist.
All right, and then the rest of them, Walter Hagen didn't win the Masters. Jim Barnes, I don't know who that is. He didn't win the Masters. Tommy R. Moore didn't win the Masters. Sam Snead and Harold Hilton, I don't know who Harold Hilton is, did not win the U.S. Open.
There's Hilton's grandfather.
Byron Nelson and Raymond Floyd did not win the British Open. Those are the gentlemen who are only one away from winning the career Grand Slam, and I believe only 2 of the guys on that list, or sorry, 3 of the guys on that list, Mickelson, Spieth, and Rory are the only 3 still currently playing.
Good question.
I like it. I like the question.
Other big news of the week. Old Miss needs a new football coach. They have an interim coach who they'll probably go with because, well, it's they play games in about a month because Hugh Freeze called up an escort service. Not ideal.
But he said it was just a pocket dial.
Is that what he fucking said? Wow. Not quite sure how they dial 11, 12 numbers for you right there, but a 60-second.
What are the odds of it being that specific number, too?
what was it, a 60-second call sometime last year in January? Where was he at? Detroit, or where was he at? Somewhere.
It was either he was in Detroit or he was calling one from Detroit. And since he's from the South, that would be weird he'd be calling one from Detroit. So he must have been in Detroit when it happened.
Is this a fireable offense?
In college sports, I'm okay with it being a fireable offense. In professional sports, I think you get into murkier territory and stuff. But with college kids that you've got to go into parents' houses and sell them on stuff, I'm okay with it happening. And ironically, I think it's the third time it's happened in the SEC in like the last 15 years. Which 15 years isn't like an incredibly short window, but for something like this, it's happened more times in 15 years than I think like any of the other conferences combined in like 40 years. And it's just so ironic that, I mean, like we don't know, but it seems like it's reasonable to assume that Houston Nutt had something to do with this because when Ole Miss first got, because when Ole Miss, they got first, we're saying that they might have sanctions. They were like, no, none of this in football is our fault. This is all when Houston Nutt was there. It's all Houston Nutt's fault. Blame him. It's not our fault. And then miraculously, all of a sudden, it starts getting leaked about that he would have something to do with this, where Houston Nutt himself also was in trouble because he was having like inappropriate texts with an attractive anchor woman, and I don't know. It's a very odd and strange scenario that since none of us are Ole Miss fans, we can look at it and like laugh about it. And I mean, they beat Alabama twice, and I hope Ole Miss fans remember that because it's possible that they'll just be like awful for the next 20 years now. Mm-hmm.
Why does this take? Why do these investigations take so long? This seems North Carolina. This seems ridiculous. How long these take? Years.
Well, I agree that it's ridiculous that they take so long, but I think part of it is that they just don't have the manpower to hire like enough private investigators. And then since they don't have the authority of the United States government to subpoena people, they can be like, oh, what do you think about this? And if it's the NCAA, you can just be like, nah, F you, and hang up, and there's nothing they can do about it except like try to talk to you again.
Stacking.
But I agree that it still takes them too long.
Stacking, how much does this matter? Late in the season, coaching wise, I don't think anybody had really any high hopes for Ole Miss to win any more than maybe 8 or 9 games. Finish like 4th in the division.
I don't think it impacts them a whole lot this year. Certainly, it will impact them to a degree. I'd say if you're looking at like Oklahoma and Ole Miss, both had head coaches leave at rather inopportune times. But Oklahoma is certainly under a little better situation than Ole Miss. It will hurt them recruiting, but the NCAA investigation is certainly a factor in that as well. But I don't believe that this is certainly an ideal time as camp is about to begin. And going into the season with so much uncertainty, there is going to be a cloud hanging around this team. Do I still expect them to be bowl eligible? Yes. But by how much?
5-7 last year.
Oh,
so last year they didn't go to a bowl game.
I forgot about that. Yeah, they aren't going to a bowl game this year either.
Goddamn.
They'll join Baylor.
And I think they maybe, I don't remember if it was last year or this upcoming year, they were like self-banning themselves from a bowl game anyways, in hopes that the NCAA would take it lighter on them. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're a coach, like, if you're some mid-major coach that just wants to get out of your school no matter what, I mean, I guess Ole Miss is a Power 5 job, but I don't know. Like, there's just so many other jobs where, like, you're going to go there. They're almost certainly going to get hit with sanctions, and they're in the same division as Nick Saban and Alabama, so you're almost never going to beat them. You're also most years not going to be able to beat LSU or Auburn either.
What's a more attractive job, Vanderbilt or Ole Miss?
The bright side for Ole Miss is that their academics are not as difficult, so you can get more kids in. Other than that, though, there's a lot of, I don't know, for the SEC East isn't as good. It hasn't been for a while. So at least if you're Vanderbilt, you don't have to worry about playing Nick Saban all the time. And I just, like, I think this is going to be, I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, like, I think it's possible this will be like Colorado, like from the mid-2000s, where they were sort of good for a while, and then just for like a decade, it was like, no, they're terrible now. Like, I think we're in the midst of that for Ole Miss, that they are going to be the bottom feeder in the SEC West almost every year for multiple years now.
Depending on what happens with this mess over the next coming years, can I interest Old Miss in Lane Kiffin?
I heard that name.
Because I just said it, Stack, and I just said it.
That's true. You did. I've heard Brian Kelly's name get mentioned. I've heard Chip Kelly get mentioned.
Why would those guys?
I wouldn't leave good jobs for Ole Miss. I would leave Florida Atlantic for Ole Miss. I'm not leaving Notre Dame or the money Chip Kelly's making from numerous entities. If I'm Lane Kiffin, who doesn't stay at a job for more than 12 months anyway, I don't know if I would go to Ole Miss anyway, but it's a job.
Then I hear, because when I heard about the Lane Kiffin, I think I was listening to.
What do you got there?
Lonnie Jones.
What's the food of the lounge this week?
Triscuits.
Triscuits. How's that compared to wheat thins?
Better.
Oh, what is this? What is this?
How does it compare to flavor blasted goldfish?
Goldfish beats them hands down.
What about cheddar cheese pretzels from Rolled Gold?
Cheddar cheese pretzels beats it too.
Is that right? Okay. Continue your thought about where did you hear Lane Kiffin?
I was listening to the right time with Lonnie Jones on my way back from work, and they were talking about how at some point, and I know this will never happen, but if you're in a contract as a coach, you can't go to one of these more prestigious jobs. Like Lane Kiffin
you can't.
can't just now up and leave Florida Atlantic when he's already had kids commit. But I guess what they were saying is if the kids can't leave right away or decommit and go somewhere else and have to sit out a year, then you shouldn't be able to either. But I mean, we're beating a dead horse because that narrative's been out there for quite some time already.
They should probably let the kids go wherever the fuck they want. That'd be the solution, I would say, to the problem. So, other big story.
OJ, real quick here on the Hugh Freeze thing is that one of the things was that they found the number in a FOIA request and they called it, and we never know for certain. So it may have still played out the same, but if they would have just taken a black marker and like redacted the number, I feel like you never know for sure, but it seems much more likely
they wouldn't find out.
They wouldn't know that, and that this probably would have flown under the radar, and they would have tried to. They still might have found something else. I don't know, but they at least wouldn't have found it that way. So I don't know. Like so often, like when we hear of like cover-ups, especially in like athletics and sports, we think of like the sinister, like no, they were doing this all along and they planned this. When I think like 9 times out of 10, like 98 times out of 100, it's more incompetency as opposed to like the sinister, like, oh no, we planned it, we were always going to do it this way. It's more like, no, we fell in the water and now we're trying to stay above water, but you can see splashing everywhere. So, and I don't know, it's just there's a lot of incompetency when people try to cheat.
Right, and the other thing
also, use a burner phone. Don't use the one that your school gives you.
Use the hotel phone, or not that phone. Jesus
personal
Christ.
phone. The other thing too in this is that it doesn't seem like it's that. I mean, it's kind of a big deal what he did, but this just seems like the last straw with Ole Miss and with all the sanctions and the allegations. I think they're and maybe you guys already
No.
mentioned this and I just missed it, that they're just cutting bait with him right now and saying, yeah, maybe in an isolated incident, this isn't that big of a deal, or as big a deal as it has become now, but adding to everything, it's just a pile, and we just need to rid ourselves of this situation right now.
And what you say, the ironic and funny thing, second, is I think what you said is accurate, but when they talk to the NCAA, they have to talk about how Hugh Freeze was the greatest coach ever and didn't do anything because they are trying to avoid sanctions at the same time, too. And it puts them in this weird scenario where they are, trying to distance him or distance themselves from him as much as possible.
Yep.
But when they talk to the NCAA, they won't be able to do that. And they'll have to be like, no, look how great of a person he is, and he didn't do anything wrong ever.
Right.
That's unfortunate. Baseball notes. Clayton Kershaw left the game today against the Braves early because of a injury of sorts. See if it's serious or just a precautionary deal. And Steven Strasburg, he also left today's game with an apparent injury after 2 innings against Arizona. So, 2 of the better pitchers hurt a week before the deadline. The story stack and the story now. The big name on the market, potentially. The biggest of the names.
Bartolo Colon.
Oh, close but not quite.
He's biggest. He would be the biggest.
Close. Half credit for me. Yu Darvish would be the big name with Texas. Texas not out of the race yet, but probably not going to make the playoffs. And he is a free agent, so it would be a rental for 2 months. Yu Darvish would be the big name. Sounds like the Dodgers are interested. Potential, how do these injuries, we do not know the severity. Maybe they make their next starts. Maybe they miss a couple of weeks. How would Strasburg and Kershaw down for whether it's a start or 2 or a month? How would that impact what these 2 teams would like to do next week?
Well, I think the important thing is to immediately to get a checkup, get something scheduled to see how many starts they're going to miss. Because I think if you're going to miss only 1 or 2 starts, probably not a big deal. But if this is something that could trigger a longer absence, then yes, I would say there would the sense of urgency for both Washington and the Dodgers increases tremendously. Or this could also be a sign for the Cubs to say, hey, we see that both teams are a little vulnerable here. Let's keep being aggressive and get back to the playoffs here. Let's win the NL Central. The Brewers have shit the bed post All-Star break. That's not good for them. But I would say that the team that I would watch out for maybe is the Cubs, because I don't think they are done wheeling and dealing quite yet. But certainly you need to, if you're the Dodgers and the Nationals, you need to determine how much time both Strasburg and Kershaw are going to miss before going all in for Yu Darvish.
This guy here wants to speak to the head of the household. Hello? Yes, this is me. Why you hung up on me? What a deal. What a deal. Is this a prostitution line? What is this?
Is that Hugh Freeze?
Hugh Freeze! What up, dog? You got your get 9 for 10 deal. Come on. The guy ain't picking up. So what Cubs add more pitching, you would think? Where do the Cubs wheeling dealing, as you say? Sonny Gray's a big name. Sonny Gray is the other. I think Sonny Gray is the biggest name. He's got a much better chance than Yu Darvish to be traded. He's the big name out there. So we'll see what happens. The Twins were rumored to get Jaime Garcia. And this has not happened. We'll see if this happens next week. Do you expect this to happen?
Kyle Gibson pitched pretty well on Saturday night, so he's going to hold his spot in the rotation for at least another week. I've been saying it all along. I don't know if the Twins are going to be making any bold moves, or I think they're going to stand pat for the most part. And but if they do make a trade, it's not going to be for anyone of any significance.
Is Jaime Garcia of significance to you?
I don't think Jaime Garcia is all that significant. What's he, 2-7 or 3-7 this year, or 4.36 ERA, something like that? That doesn't do a whole hell of a lot for me.
Stacking.
Yes.
I'm not saying you necessarily want them to get traded or think they'll get traded.
Yeah.
But what do you think the three best commodities player-wise for the Twins are right now?
I can't tell you. Like, I could only give you starters. I don't know anyone.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
So
I think there are 3 answers and 3 answers only. Are you are you saying the Are you saying the Charlie? Are you saying the 3 players / assets that would bring the most in a trade are the most valuable, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah, let's go with that.
And obviously, none of these guys are being traded because, of course, they are their biggest assets.
Well, Sano.
Yep.
Dozier. Maybe.
I would say no. Maybe 4. Buxton, I would put Buxton in the top 3.
You put Buxton there, okay. Even though he's barely, the Mendoza line.
No, I hate him. And Barrios. Barrios.
Vargas?
Barrios. Jose Barrios.
Escobar?
Jose Barrios.
Oh, Jose Barrios, okay.
Sano, Barrios, Buxton. If they are all good, if they reach their potential, this team will be good for a good decade. They're all in their early 20s.
If your Twins, let's just say for one minor league prospect, could acquire any Major League Baseball player playing today, who would you want them to get?
Oh, boy. Aaron Judge.
I think that's reasonable. I like that answer.
I was going to say Giancarlo Stanton right away, then I thought about it.
What a deal. What a deal.
Then it'd be like Bryce Harper or Clayton Kershaw, but Aaron Judge is the flavor of the year right now, so we'll go with him.
Twins need pitching. I would take a pitcher. Kershaw probably. Chris Sale. Sale, Kershaw, Scherzer, whatever one you like the best, the youngest, who's going to be the longest.
Every time I hear Chris Sale's name mentioned, I get a little bit sad, and I miss that he's not playing for the White Sox anymore.
Not playing for the White Sox no more.
And watching them below his fantastic outing, but still watching him give up 1 or 2 runs and striking out 11 batters.
How long did it take the Astros? How many years were the Astros terrible? 2 or 3?
4 or 5?
4 or 5? Okay, so if I may throw something out there, the White Sox in 2021 or 2022 are going to be the 2017 Houston Astros.
I hope so.
That's what they're hoping as well. That's what they're doing. They're selling all of their guys.
Doesn't it look like seem like they're following that path that the Astros are doing?
They got all the prospects, and they traded more of their guys to the Yankees this week. And got.
So the Twins and the Indians and the Royals, they all have their chance right now to be impactful and they'll win the division here because after 2021 or 2022, it's the White Sox for the foreseeable future.
Sure. Look out for the White Sox in 4 years. Trade deadline coming up Tuesday of next week, I think. Very exciting. Fat Bartolo did well the first couple innings, did bad his last inning or 2, so he'll get to start against the Dodgers. Coming up on Tuesday. At the very least, we'll get to see this clump of mass bat once if he makes it through the 3rd inning. So that'll be fun. Very exciting right there.
Strike out Aaron Judge, and that says it all.
He did.
Aaron Judge is pretty good.
Do better, Judge. You can't hit the fat
He's
man.
my favorite baseball player today, that's for sure.
Good. I think this is going to have to be like a monthly thing, Charlie, a monthly game, I think, because I think you're right. I think I've got 1. Anything else, Stacking? I have one more thing. You have anything else?
O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about O.J. How the fuck did we forget? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how we forgot about this.
We were going to talk, yeah.
We talked about it before the show and then just forgot it during it.
I know, I was having some issues getting the blog posted this week. It is online at stackattack.sportsblog.com. But I made a comparison, and I'm not saying it's a direct parallel. There are certainly many differences. but I feel as though OJ, now once he is paroled, I feel like he is a piranha to the game of football, just as Pete Rose is a piranha
No.
baseball.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on this, Dakin. I think to an extent you might be correct, but with OJ,
Here's the deal.
it is to an exponentially higher degree.
And I said that as well. I said, like I said, I had some issues posting it, but what I was saying is, yes, what OJ did is far more significantly worse than what Pete Rose did, but just from the standpoint,
a conflict-free life.
But the point I was making is you had these two.
Well, there wasn't much of a conflict. It was boom, bang, bam. There was no conflict there. Charlie was pretty one-sided fight, I would assume, from the footage I've seen.
You had two stars in their respective sports who were beloved by everyone, could seemingly do no wrong, and Pete Rose makes a decision that baseball fans and certainly baseball front office people are like, nope, that's you are banned for life. And Simpson, of course, does what he does, gets away with murder, and then, by the way, 9 years. It doesn't seem like he's been in jail for 9 years. That surprised me, but just now that he's going to be back in the public eye,
Will he?
if I'm the NFL, I know that the Hall of Fame said that they would welcome him back.
No.
Yeah, that he's welcome to come back, everything, but.
Is he going to show up at the Heisman Trophy presentation this fall?
Don't count on it.
Maybe.
No.
Does he get to pass his vote from jail? I would hope so.
I would assume he does, but I don't know.
But I guess that
Also, I don't know if he even cares. I mean, I think we forget that there's a lot of people that have Heisman votes and don't vote either because they don't care.
But my whole point was I sense like O.J. Simpson and Pete Rose are kind of in the same class. That if Pete Rose is starting to get better now, of course he's got the job with Fox as an analyst. He's pretty good at it, but I mean he's for years made autograph sessions and joked about gambling.
Are you trying to tell me that after someone admitted wrongdoing, that was the path to start rehabbing, and that O.J. should admit what he's done?
You can read that comment however you would like it. I'm not going to deny or confirm that. But I was just saying I see parallels in both of their in both of their paths of life of what's happened. That I see both O.J. Simpson and Pete Rose as piranhas in their respective sports. But it made me think about it more once I heard that he got paroled.
I don't know. One of the biggest problems for O.J. going forward, and like I knew this, but I had forgotten about it, is that he owes so much money because of that civil suit. That I've heard a lot of people be like, "Oh, we'll just go on TV now." It's like, well, he can, but like any money,
To do
he
what?
doesn't get a key. He's got to give it to the
Family.
Goldman and Simpson family. So, and I think that was the idea of why he was doing all this memorabilia stuff, is because he could get money under the table then, and he wouldn't report it. Where the problem now is because of what happened before he went to jail. I don't think anyone in that industry trusts. I mean, that industry full of magnificent and fantastic people, always looking out for the benefits of others. The merchandise sale people,
Like Eli Manning.
since they won't deal with him anymore, like I don't know, somehow, I mean, I guess he gets the NFL pension check. I don't know how much that is, but like other than that, I don't know where he's gonna get cash from. And I don't say that in a more for him way, because he's obviously a shitty dude.
I'm sure there will be an interview with him somebody will do an interview with him, but I just don't think he'll be out. And I mean, he's 70 years old. I don't think he'll be out and about doing anything.
Does he get any money from the FX series or
No.
the 30 for 30? Okay.
No. I don't.
No, and even if he did, it wouldn't go to him unless it was over like the $50 million or whatever.
Right, and I get that that money would go to the Nicole Smith family. Did either of you watch this on Thursday? I did not, but I was trying to follow along with as much as I could.
I did not watch it.
If I was around to watch it,
I cared about the results. I did not care the process leading up to it.
if I would have had the opportunity, I would have. I kept tabs on it and I saw it, what the result was, obviously, and that's fine. Yeah.
Side note, props to the dude wearing the Chiefs tie. And by props, I mean he should also be embarrassed.
So, where'd you get that tie from, guy? How about that?
He did it on purpose. His office is apparently full of Chiefs and Royals memorabilia, which he probably got from Simpson.
Could be. It's a shot. It's a direct shot right there. O.J. Simpson's a free man, I think October 1st or somewhere there around. So Twins were down 6-3 in the 8th. They make it a 6-5 game, and here comes the bullpen. 9-5. Still in the 9th inning. This game is 4 hours and 10 minutes long. Going to be at least 4 hours and 20, a 9-inning game. My God. So
The 3 longest games at the Target Field in terms of 9-inning games have all been against the Tigers.
Jesus Christ, Detroit, still goddamn ridiculous. So still have a little over a week to go here, and Twins, very important that they took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. Going to lose 2 out of 3 from Detroit, so that's not good. This one, a deep fly ball, back. Good catch, so it's a 9-5 game in the bottom of the 9th. It's the Yankees are beating Seattle, so bad weekend here for the Twins. They are now 3 back of Cleveland, 2.5 back of Cleveland, and now they're only a game and a half behind Yankees, Royals.
The thing, the Rays got swept by the Rangers this
Thankfully
weekend.
for that. Kansas City back on a roll, so Kansas City, Yankees, Rays, Twins, all in the mix. All over 500. So have fun with that. Any other thoughts here as we wrap up the program, 225? O.J. Simpson, we talked it over.
Should we tell Stackin, like, while the show's
Not
still
yet.
going on? And
Not yet.
Now or later?
We'll save it for when somebody actually wins the damn thing. 'Cause I got one.
That might be a while.
I think you maybe
I
got
gotta
a
start
couple.
asking, hey, Stackin, in the last 15 years, if you could have any twin hit leadoff, who would you pick of guys that have played for the Twins?
Lead off.
Hit leadoff?
Let me rephrase that. I shouldn't have said hit leadoff. Let's keep it with the Tigers. What twin do you think's had the best job getting hits against Tigers over the last 15 years or so?
Well, I would
Let's
say,
say the last 10 years. Let's say the last 10 years.
Okay. I know where you're going.
well, I mean, the guy who's been there the longest would be Joe Mauer. I was thinking back to, like,
That's all I needed. You don't need to say anything else.
Stacking.
I'm kidding, Stackin. I'm kidding. You can say whatever
Stackin.
you want.
yeah,
We talked about this Old Miss thing.
Yep.
Who does that help?
North Dakota State, of course.
Good enough for me. Good. And with that, we'll see you next week. Lounge, maybe we'll have a show, maybe we won't. So July 23rd, we're about a month away from the football season. So there you go. Nathan Stackin in Fargo. Charlie Hildebrand in Sioux City. Travis Crittens here. It's hot everywhere. We'll see you next week inside the Sports Lounge.